The pool is now closed. The pool is now closed.
I love it.
Good morning, and welcome to Indianapolis and the City Terrace Swimming World Series. I would like to invite the officials to the deck.
We need 4 timers this morning. Expect them in here. Oh, really? Nice. Cool. Yeah, whatever it is.
Let's bring out the first heat of the women's 15-meter backstroke.
Good morning and welcome to our final preliminary session at the Citi Paris Swimming World Series in Indianapolis, Indiana. We've got some great racing ready for you this morning. We'll start off with the women's 50 backstroke onto the women's 200 individual IM. 200 IM, that's the individual medley, women and men. And then we'll have the 150 IM. We'll explain why it's 150. And then we've got the women's 100 backstroke and the men's 100 backstroke. We've got a little bit of a break between those two, I think because we have a lot of swimmers swimming back-to-back events. Our athletes are already out on the deck for our first heat of the women's 50 backstroke. There are just 2 heats of this event. My name is John DeSleer. Hopefully I'm informing you and you're leaving a little bit smarter about Paralympic swimming after each of these sessions. In lane 1 in this first heat from Canada is Shelby Newkirk. In lane 2, Nikita Enns, also from Canada. In lane 3 from Mexico, Karina Hernandez Torres. In lane 4 from the U.S., Julia Hickson. In lane 5, Britt Conrad from the U.S. From Canada, in lane number 6, Hannah Ouellette. And in lane 7, from Greece, is Areti Spirito. That is her first event of the meet. We have a little over 200 swimmers at this event, and more than 90 of them are coming from other countries, coming from all over the world, to get the chance to race here at the Indiana University Natatorium. This first heat is getting in the water, and we await what they're going to bring to us. These swimmers are obviously always swimming for times, but in order to make it into the finals, you're swimming for points. And the way that the points work is a little complicated, but I'll try to simplify it. Each event has actually a The first heat is off. Got a good race in the middle of the pool and over there in lane 1. In the middle of the pool in lanes 4 and 5. That is Julia Hickson and Britt Conrad, American teammates. But in lane 1, Shelby Newkirk from Canada looks to be in full ownership of this heat. We had somebody about to put a flag up right in front of my view, so sorry I missed the end of that call. First in that heat was lane 1, as she was in full ownership. Shelby Newkirk from Canada, she was 37.40. Second in the heat, Julia Hickson, 42.75. Britt Conrad from the United States was 42.99 and in third in that heat. From Mexico, Karina Torres was 113. I'm sorry, she was 52. Nikita Enns from Canada was 113.99. We have one more swimmer finishing up her 50 backstroke. That's Areti Aravala Spiridoi from Greece. Swimming in lane 7. She's got about 6 or 7 meters to go. She keeps her body nice and balanced up at the surface so that every time she pushes on the water, she's going forward. Congratulations to Areti. She gets into the wall at 2:00:86. You can see that up on your board. 37:40 for Shelby Newkirk is an unofficial new world record for the S6 in the 50 backstroke. You can see her taking off there well ahead of the heat. And here she is. At that point, it's not against the heat, it's against the world record, and she just broke it. Of course, it's unofficial until it gets ratified, but congratulations, Shelby. All that work paying off. Heat 2 of 2 is coming up in the women's 50-meter backstroke. There are just 2 heats. In lane 1, Eden Schroeder from the United States. Also from the U.S., Lila Boykins in lane 2. In lane 3, their American teammate Vivian Wanditz. Chloe Cederholm is in lane 4. Maggie Schurter is in lane 5, both from the U.S. Nelly Miranda Herrera from Mexico is in lane 6. Ali Van Wyck Smart from Canada is in lane 7, and finishing off this heat, Ibeth Solario Cuevas from Mexico. This is heat 2 of 2 of the women's 50-meter backstroke, S1 to 5. Great start for Chloe Cederholm in lane 4, just blasted away from the block there. That is actually Maggie Schurter behind her, along with Vivian Wanditz. Very clear who's going to win this heat. That is Chloe Cederholm. She's 13 years old, swimming for the U.S. Her entry time's 36:09, and she goes well under that at 35:84. The rest of our heat is getting into the wall there. Finishing in lane 2, that is Lila Boykins. She entered at a 57. And her time did not come up on the clock. There's Chloe Cederholm. Really handled that heat against the competition and went well under her seed time. Usually the younger swimmers are always entered at their best time, so I'm guessing that was the best time for Chloe. Lane 7 and 8, Ali and Ibeth finishing up the heat. And we just have our swimmer in lane 1, Eden Schroeder. Keeps her body right in line, nice and aligned backstroke. She doesn't move side to side with her hips, which is outstanding. That helps every bit of power that she pushes forward be more efficient and faster. She finishes in a 1:52.25. She was 1:55 as an entry time, so she loses about 3 seconds. And as all of these swimmers are putting in this weekend an outstanding effort, it's only, it's only a 3-day meet, but this is the 5th session. So much energy being put out. Hopefully they're resting well. This is a great training ground for the bigger swim meets that they go to. This is one of the bigger swimming meets that they're going to. A few kids are here for their first big international swim meet. Everybody's doing great. And speaking of doing great, look at Chloe just win by almost 10 meters in a 50. Great swim. That clock that they're looking at is an enormous video board, but it's really far away, so it might be hard to see times when they get in there. So we don't always get reactions when they hit the wall, but it's always fun to watch if one's coming. Coming up next is the men's 50-meter backstroke, S1 to 5. This is heat 1 of 3. In lane 2 from Canada, Riley Martin. Marcos Zarate Rodriguez is in lane 3 from Mexico. From the United States, that's Abbas Karimi. It will be very interesting to watch Abbas's start, how he works with his coach to get a great start. Isaac Barton from the United States is in lane 5. Swimmer from Mexico in lane 6, Christopher Tronco Sanchez, and Asias Sono from Peru is in lane 7. You can see Abbas's coach, Marty, I believe, getting ready to assist him on his start. And Abbas is in lane number 4. That second whistle is to whistle them into the water. There's Marty and Abbas. See, Abbas, without arms, how do I get a fast, fair start? Well, they have this towel that he bites down on. When they say take your mark, he's going to lift himself up into a starting position, and then he is just going to blast away from the wall. And you'll see some pretty impressive dolphin kicking underwater from Abbas. So he got away from the wall first. He's out in first in this heat. Dolphin kicking, he's just got to break out before that yellow mark, and he does. Now it's a little tougher being up against other classifications. That is Isaac Barton, who's taken over the lead at about the 27-meter mark of this 50. But Abbas is dolphin kicking all the way down this 50 backstroke. It's the fastest kick in swimming as far as propulsion. So as long as he keeps that head position, that keeps his body in line. And that is Isaac Barton from the U.S. finishing in 38.71, about 10 seconds under his entry time. Abbas hits the wall at 42.94, a little above his entry time. Lane 3, that is Marcos Rodriguez from Mexico, finishing in 1 minute, 0.17. This heat, looks like only Isaac Barton got under his entry time. So as I was talking about this being day 3 in session 5, sometimes that energy loss catches up to you on the last day. So coming to these meets and practicing, going through how hard it is to push through and persevere through the last day is great training. The Paralympic swim meet is more than 3 days. So learning how to manage your energy at a major international meet when you're away from home, staying in hotels, eating either hotel or a grocery type food away, something that you're not used to. All these changes are something to take into account in your training towards the 2024 Paralympic Games in Paris this summer. So heat 1 is getting out of the water. Heat 2 has paraded out to the blocks. That is Cirrus Kea from the United States in lane 1. In lane 2 from Mexico, Jesus Lopez Cervantes. In lane 3, Alex Cooper from the U.S. Trevor Bell swimming next to him in lane 4. Diego Lopez Diaz from Mexico is in lane 5. In 6 from Chile, Alberto Abarza Diaz. In lane 7 from Mexico, Hector Pedroza Alvarado. So these 7 swimmers will try to match up with that heat 1, try to get themselves into the final tonight. It's interesting that we chase points in the morning and then they seed them by times at night based on the 8 top point scorers. I know that there's a lot of talk of maybe the next evolution we try is to look at seeding the lanes by point score at night. There's all kinds of evolutions going on in para swimming. All positive, all worth a try. As a coach, I would kind of like putting the top point scorer from the morning in lane 4, and just saying to, the swimming crowd that may not see it that way, it's time to swim closer to the world record if you want that middle lane. Changes like that can take some time, though, time and effort, and I'm not going to bat for it or raising it as a controversial thing, but it's always good to think about how we may progress in para swimming. Similar to Abbas's start. And again, he gets it away quite well with that dolphin kick at the top of your screen. Swimming in the middle there, though, in lane 4, that is Trevor Bell from the U.S. He was 34:38 as an entry time. He's 25 meters into this 50 backstroke. Looks like there's a race for second behind him, but he is well in control. That is Trevor Bell from the United States. Going under the flags, he's got about 4 or 5 strokes left to go in that 5 meters. He hits the wall at 34:17, so he's knocked a little over 0.2 of a second off of his entry time. Hector Alejandro Alvarado from Mexico entered with a no time in lane 7 and finished second in that heat in 41:02. Final swimmer there in lane 2 coming into the wall, that's Jesus Cervantes from Mexico. He gets in at a time of 1:10.64. He entered with a 1:08, so he's a little above. There's 3 full heats in this event, though, so we will have full finals tonight, depending on their travel and plans. Sometimes on the last session and the last day of a big travel meet, your flight schedule decides whether you come to finals or not. Some of these swimmers will pay up for that last night in a hotel and get the full swimming day, and some of them will head for the airport after their prelims. See 3 or 4 distinct styles of backstroke there, but that was, as far as winning the heat, that was all Trevor Bell. Heat 3 is starting to line up, so we can go through that start list. From Canada in lane 1, Leo Zhang. From Peru in lane 2, Jose Silva Diaz. In lane 3 from Spain, Miguel Luque. From the U.S. in lane 4, that is Sawyer Mills. In lane 5, also from the U.S., is Jan Babayuski. From Chile in lane 6, Patricio Lorena Albaye. And in lane 7 from Mexico, that is Octavio Ramiro Velasquez. Getting those last big breaths in, loosening up around the chest cavity. That second whistle for backstroke is your cue to enter the water. Backstrokers all start from in the water. The only rule is their toes have to be under the water surface at the start. So you'll see the assist there in lane 2. Their coach will either hold hands or hold feet, and they've got to hold feet not only to the wall but under the surface. And then see they very clearly and obviously pull their hands away, so there's no appearance of them pushing that athlete forward. Great underwater work there. Lane 4 and 7. That is Sawyer Mills in 4, and over in 7, Octavio Velasquez. These guys are having a great swim. pretty close to head, but from the angle, it looks like they're even, but that's going to be Sawyer Mills from the U.S. in a 32.90. And that is faster than his seed time, so hopefully that puts him closer to the world record points. He entered at a 35.3, and he was 32.9, or 33.5, sorry. The numbers on my paper are starting to dance in session 5, so I'll try to keep accurate for you. Our last swimmer coming in lane number 2, that is Jose Diaz from Peru. He finished in a 104.7, just above his entry time. That is all 3 heats of our men's 50-meter backstroke. The officials and the starters will make their way down to the other end of the pool. Take a look at those times from heat 3. Now the 200 individual medley, lucky for me, lots to talk about. Lucky for me because we have 7 heats of the women's race and 5 heats of the men's race. And these take anywhere from 4.5 minutes down to just over 2 minutes. So all of our heats will give us a different storyline. There are a couple of classic styles of swimming the 200-meter individual medley, and I'll go through that, and we'll try to point out what the different swimmers are doing. There's a lot of different stroke specialists, and in the 200 IM, you swim all 4 strokes. The first 50 is butterfly, the second 50 is backstroke, the third 50 is breaststroke, and the last 50 is freestyle. So we'll see what all of these athletes bring. There's all kinds of different ways to swim it. In heat 1 from Canada, in lane 2, Miriam Soliman. In lane 3 from Peru, Victoria Santiago. In lane 4 from Canada, Hannah Ouellette. From Peru in lane 5, Dunia Felices. In lane 6 from the United States, that is Natalie Sims. Gia Pergolini from the United States is in lane 7. We've got 6 swimmers from lanes 2 to 7 in this heat 1. Our officials, looks like they're headed to clarify something. The officials do more than just sit there in those chairs and walk around and start the races. You can hear the starting horn there in the background. They're testing so that since we're moving from one start side to the other start side, they always will do a test start to make sure the equipment is working. Officials, when the athletes come to their lane, many of them will check to make sure that on their sheet of paper is the correct name going with the correct swimmer. Swimming in the wrong lane in a heat is a disqualification, so you have to be careful. Sometimes the swimmers are so single-minded as getting ready for their race. There are occasions where they might head to the wrong lane. That was Natalie Sims and Gia Pergolini. Both of them get away really fast, and they'll probably get close to the front of this heat from the start. It's Gia Pergolini there in lane number 7. From the U.S., I shot her a little compliment yesterday in the hallway, and I think I surprised her. I just told her how, from a coach's perspective, how gamey she is and how great it is to watch her just go for it in every race. And I don't know that she hears that compliment often. She was very happy to hear that, but I don't give them out often. So Gia Pergolini coming through as she does, out first at the 50. We don't have the 50 splits coming up on the wall, or I was just talking through them actually. There's lanes 2 and 3. That is Miriam Soliman from Canada and Victoria Santiago from Puerto Rico in lane 2. And then in lane 3 and 4, that is Hannah from Canada and Dunia from Peru going into their butterfly to backstroke turn. So you've got you've got to start thinking about the next stroke before you get to it. So Gia there in her turn, she's getting her last couple of strokes backstroke. She goes to the full underwater sequence for breaststroke, which you're allowed 1 dolphin kick, 1 breaststroke pull down, and then the next time you reach forward to take your first stroke, your head has to break the surface. Gia Pergolini's having a fine swim. She's entered with a no time. I know she's swum this event before. Maybe she just wanted to get in an early heat and get some experience racing. And she is not disappointing. Natalie Sims there in the lane on the left of your screen. And Natalie looks like she's inching up a little bit. She's going to have a spectacular freestyle to come close to beating Gia in lane 7. Gia goes her breaststroke to freestyle turn, some dolphin kicks underwater. And the same there. Looks like Natalie takes about 3 dolphin kicks and then transitions over to freestyle. Breaks out swimming freestyle. See, that was a close race earlier between these two swimmers in lanes 2 and 3, Miriam and Victoria, but clearly Miriam is a breaststroke specialist in the 200 IM. They're also in 2 very different classifications. So Gia Pergolini hits the wall first in a 2:39.25. Last 50 freestyle was 36.81. Natalie Sims hits second at a 2:46.5. We go back to that, which was a close race in lanes 2 and 3, but that is Victoria Santiago from Puerto Rico, who had pulled away in the breaststroke and looks like she's going to have a great finish in the freestyle. And they're coming up on these two swimming with about 15 meters of breaststroke left to go. See, one of them is a little bit of higher tempo breaststroker. That's our swimmer in lane 5. That is Dunia from Peru. A little bit higher tempo breaststroke. And Hannah Olette from Canada has a little bit longer glide off of her kick. Both of them are effective. That style of breaststroke have Hannah put herself back in the race with Dunia. Nice long stroke freestyle. In lane 3 finishing there, that was Hannah Ouellette. 3rd place in that heat at 3:45.95. She entered at a 4:34, so that was either this just enormous drop or they just entered with it. She looks pretty happy though, actually. So great swim, great race. Outstanding race going on here. In the middle of the pool, that's lane 4 and 5. Hannah Ouellette and Dunia Felices. I was just talking about Victoria from Puerto Rico, who was very happy with that time she did. 4:34 is the time Hannah entered with, and it's not coming up on the board, as you can see. 4:34.5 for Dunia. She entered at a 4:38. Heat 2 coming up. As we recap, take another look at some of this first heat. With Gia entering there in lane 7 with a no time, that's how she got seated in that outside lane. Just an outstanding swim for her. Here's her breaststroke to freestyle turn. Nice long freestyle into the wall there. Good breathing position for her head. Doesn't take her head out of alignment to get that breath. And she is huffing and puffing. That was an outstanding swim from Gia Pergolini in the entire heat. Natalie Sims looking back at her time there. As we move on to heat 2 of 7, in lane 1, Caitlin Trevor from the United States. From Mexico, Carla Bravo Gonzalez. From the U.S. in lane 3, Kiara Bauer. Nesbeth Vasquez Mieja in lane number 4. Mia Dillingham in 5 for the U.S. Sarah Miranda Corrales from Mexico in 6. Mia Clark is swimming in lane 7. And Ariana Cotto from Costa Rica is swimming in lane number 8. I think the starter saw some movement and wanted to kind of reset the athletes. So they will try that start again. They need to come down and stay still. Sometimes what's not being considered is that being still means being balanced. And we've got some athletes that are getting an aid to their balance, so there might be some movement. The starter's holding them for quite a long time. That's pretty tough to get a good start when you're holding in that position for 3 or 4 seconds. Hopefully they can quicken that up. Hey, you know what? If an athlete's not ready and you've said take your mark, I would send them. Just send them off the blocks. An error in not being ready is not the rest of the heat's fault. This heat's getting off to a good start. We'll have some stuff to talk about in the individual swimmers. But out in front in lane 4, that is Nesbeth Mieja from Mexico. So the rules on the turn, you have to go from your front to your back. You can't come off of this wall on your front and then turn over to your back. It's very simply, you're doing backstroke, so you need to be on your back. Some athletes will cut that kind of close where they'll push off a little bit on their side and get some dolphin kicks, because that's pretty fast. It's a fast position to be in on your side kicking dolphin kicks. But you have to be very careful when you do that you don't pass over, you don't let that shoulder go over to your front, or else you would get disqualified. Nesbeth Mieja from Mexico is still holding a lead there in lane 4. Over in lane 7, challenging her is Mia Clark from the United States. We'll see how they match up in breaststroke. Sometimes breaststroke is definitely the equalizer in an IM. We had a couple of good backstrokers there catch the two of them. Let's see how they measure up in breaststroke. Nesbeth's breaststroke is pretty strong. She's holding on to the lead. She's taking 2 strokes per breath. She can hold her body alignment doing that. So it's a little bit different than the standard breaststroke you might be used to watching, but this is effective for the ability she brings to the breaststroke. So you can see her legs are trailing, and since she's not able to kick herself forward into that nice high breath, she eliminates one of the breaths every other stroke. And that is hard to train for. It's a much harder breaststroke to race with as well, physically. She doesn't seem to be showing us a weak stroke of the 4 so far, and I know that she's a pretty solid freestyler. So it looks like Nesbeth is probably going to keep this heat well underhand. Just behind her in lane 5 from Costa Rica is Sarah Miranda Corrales. Nesbeth's 250.6 at the 150 wall with, I'm sorry, that's Maya Dillingham from the U.S. I tell you, 5th session, my eyes are spinning. Good freestyle race across the pool in lanes 6 and 7 with Sarah Corrales and Mia Clark, but finishing up this race is Nesbeth Marlene Vasquez Mieja from Mexico. She's got 5 meters to go into this wall. I tell you, Maya had made a big move on her in the end of the breaststroke and the entire freestyle, and just finished a little bit over a 1.5 seconds behind. That's Nesbitt at 3:39.2 with Maya Dillingham from the U.S. finishing in 3:40.67. Both of those times well under their entry times. Maya is 9 seconds under her entry time. Lane 2 coming into her finish. That is Carla Francesca Bravo Gonzalez from Mexico. She entered with a 3:59 and finishes with a 4:12. In lane 8, the time didn't come up. She may not have hit that pad hard enough. But that completes heat number 2 of our 200-meter individual medley race. There are 7 heats that the women will be contesting. We didn't get a time there out of lane 8, but she definitely finished. Great swim. We had some lead changes for second and third along the way. When we have the luck of some of the similar classifications in the same heat at the same speed, we'll see what the different stroke specialties can do to changing leads throughout the race. Showcasing all 4 strokes. First 50's butterfly, and then they turn to backstroke. Backstroke to breaststroke, that race was still pretty close, but then the breaststrokers took over. In heat 3, we've got Tessa Nagy in lane 1. In lane 2, Lourdes Alejandro Ibar Diaz. In lane 3, Sambul Zafar from Canada. Diana Claudio from Mexico in lane 4. In lane 5, Diana Martinez from Mexico. Nicole Brelovsky is swimming from Mexico in lane number 6. In 7, Vivian Wandich from the United States, and Riley Bossler, also from the U.S., in lane 8. Lane 4, that's Diana Claudio from Mexico, out to an early lead. She's about 35 meters down the pool of the 50 butterfly. And I would guess, based on different stroke abilities, we'll have some separation here probably when we get to the breaststroke. But Diana Claudio from Mexico is in the wall first at the 50 at 39.58. Second behind her, Sambul Zafar from Canada at 43.9. And then she's got a couple of competitors very, very close. We'll see who the backstrokers are here of that group of 3. But out in front of this heat is Diana Maria Torres Claudio from Mexico. She entered the race with a 3:25.26. We'll see where she goes from there. She's got a nice, she bounces a little bit, but she's got an uneven stroke. See, she's got a full hand and paddle on her right side, and she's got her upper arm to push on the water for her left. So that will cause a little bouncing sometimes in backstroke with that inequality from one side to the other. Very strong breaststroke, outstanding right out of the turn. Nice long glide. She gets her head in line with her spinal column. When you do that and you kick very hard, you're kicking yourself forward very, very far on each stroke, and that's what she's doing right now. That's Diana Claudio in lane 4 from Mexico. Handling the heat quite well. Next to her in lane number 3, Sambul Zafar is holding her own on the breaststroke and has separated herself from that third and fourth place swimmer behind. And I'm sure she's going to hold a lead that size when it comes into the freestyle. So this is very close to what you'll see your finish order be for the top 3 swimmers. Unless, see, lane 1 is making a big move That is Tessa Nagy. She's making a big move on the breaststroke. We'll see what kind of freestyle she brings if she can hold her own over the three swimmers that she's just taken a lead from. Diana Claudio from Mexico, though, she's not going to let anybody in this heat catch her. Onto a straight arm on her right side, which is a very sprinter style of freestyle, so I can make a judgment call that she trains very hard and probably longer distances to be able to handle that type of stroke at the end of an IM. She hit the wall with a smile, 3:12. She entered at a 3:25. Should be all smiles on that. And then coming in lane 5 there, second place, that was Diana Martinez from Mexico. Her time did not come up, but she was second, a solid second in that heat. We just have our one swimmer left in lane 7 to finish up this heat. She is racing her freestyle kind of on her own back there. That's Vivian from the United States. She entered at a 3:38, and she's going to be a bit above that at a 4:05 in this morning heat. There are 3 or 4 different effective ways to swim each stroke. So you put that with 4 stroke, there are quite a few combinations of what the athletes could bring to this event. The impressive breaststroke leg from Tessa Nagy in lane 1 to solidify her spot in 3rd in that heat. One of the other things you have to have in the 200 IM is discipline. If you're not a fast butterflyer, but you are really good at the breaststroke and the freestyle, you have to be patient and you have to be okay with somebody maybe being ahead of you so you don't react to that. And I think Tessa Nagy did an outstanding job of that, knowing that she was probably going to be even until she got her shot in the breaststroke. And she's swimming herself away from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place. But that finish and that swim was outstanding. That was Diana Laura Jimenez Martinez from Mexico, your heat winner in heat number 3. Up next, heat 4 of 7. From Mexico in lane 1, Emilia Gonzalez Chanez. From Chile, Valentina Munoz Moreno in lane 2. In lane 3 from the U.S., that's Casey Freeman. In lane 4 from Mexico, Naomi Somaliero Mandajano. In lane 5 from Canada, Ali Deal. In lane 6 from the U.S., Elise Morley. Liberty Freeman is swimming in lane 7 for the U.S., and Megan Giuffreda, who we saw in some finals and got some medals around her neck last night from the U.S., is in lane 8. This heat takes off pretty even in the first 15 meters, so we can't make any intelligent judgments of how this is going to go. Lane 6 and 7 are starting the first part of a race head-to-head. That is Elise Morley in lane 6 and Liberty Freeman in 7. They are both in the SM9 classification, so that is a full battle. Ali Deal is also SM9 individual medley swimmer. The M in the classifications, if you're seeing these psych sheets or heat sheets from teamusa.org, where all the meet information is, the M in the classification is medley, and that medley is fly, back, breast, and free in that order. Swim all 4 strokes in the 200 IM. you'll see in the lower numbered classifications that come after the men and women in the 200 IM, they swim the 150 IM, where they start on the other end of the pool, and they do not do the butterfly in the IM, so they swim 150 meters. You see how one stroke can make a big difference, and there it did for Liberty Freeman in lane 7. She really went back out in front in that backstroke leg. Now we'll see if we'll see if that was Elise in the backstroke, I apologize. Liberty is now trying to make a move on her in the breaststroke 50. So there's lead changes back and forth, and then sometimes you're even in, around, or near the beginning of the freestyle. And I can tell you, everybody kind of has the freestyle, so it goes down to fitness 9 out of 10 times in an IM. Now, here's what I was talking about. There's Allie Deal coming up and taking over a lead. She's got an outstanding breaststroke. All three of these swimmers are in the same classification. That's Allie Deal in lane 5 from Canada taking over the lead. Just past Elise Morley, and Liberty Freeman's there in lane number 7. They make this turn, and now we'll see who has the freestyle. And I think you see what's shaping up. It's a good race between Allie and Elise. Elise might have the faster tempo to be able to take over, and with about 25 meters to go, she has taken over the lead. Elise has taken the lead over Allie Deal from from Canada. They entered at 3:14 and 3:17. It looks like it's going to be a great time for Elise Morley from the United States. She entered with a 3:17, and she is going to be well under that time. Hopefully that's a best time, 3:06.3. And then Allie Deal comes in. She entered at 3:14 and she was 3:09. Liberty Freeman was third at a 3:13.8. She entered with a 3:19. So all three of those SM9 swimmers, they took the battle pretty seriously. They all come out with faster times than they entered with. A lot of times in the 200 IM, you're a little too tired to smile. Lane 8's coming in to finish her swim. That's Megan Giuffreda in 3:38.4. So making the finals, you got to go as fast as you can up against your classification's world record in that event, and we'll take the highest 8-point scorers across all 7 heats. So you see Megan Giuffreda may have hit 7th in that heat at a 3:38.4, but I have it on pretty good prediction that based in her classification with that time, she may have just swam herself into the finals. I didn't understand the points about a year ago, but now I am motivated by using the points and rewarding each swimmer in their own classification for making the finals. It's a little bit of a wake-up call to the swimmers that are going these super fast times. Those super fast times are fun to watch, but they may not be as close to the world record as some of these other classifications. So everybody's getting their honest due in making the finals when you use a point system like this. Outstanding swimming from those 3 SM9, and you can see if you look down that right side column, that is a pretty hotly contested classification at this meet. Julia Gaffney in lane 1 of heat 7 from the U.S. May White in lane 2. Jessica Long in 3. Colleen Young swimming in lane 4. Summer Schmidt in 5. Keegan Knott in 6. Momo Sutton in lane 7. And Mallory Wegeman is in lane 8. This is an all-USA heat. We get away from the blocks pretty well. We'll see who is now. Colleen Young in lane 4 has a quite fast entry time of 2:34, and she has been swimming pretty close to her entry time. So we'll see if she's taking it. There's no such thing as taking it easy in an international meet, but if she's going out 100% to get that spot tonight, or if she knows the time she has to go, she's a veteran. She could probably pick the time she's going to swim and then swim to that effort that time. If she has the luxury of being fast enough to make it into the finals, she can kind of swim the race she wants to swim rather than the race she has to swim, and save that big swim for the night. That's Colleen Young out in front of the heat in lane 4. She's 25 years old and a U.S. para swimming veteran. Talk about veterans. Next to her in lane 3 is Jessica Long and Summer Schmidt in lane 5. We've got quite a few veterans here, and a repeat medalist here in lane 8 in Mallory Wegeman. She swims in the SM7 classification, and she's right up there with the 9s, so to speak, in this heat. Colleen Young has that nice long glide off of her kick, and it looks like that's making it easier. That's taking a tremendous amount of energy out of her legs, that if she is in a big close race this morning, she will have to conserve a little bit. But she's not conserving anything. You see that kick is bubbling up behind her for her last 25 meters. In lane 5 next to her, that is Summer Schmidt, also bringing up her kicks. Jessica Long made that turn a little bit behind and is pretty handily in 3rd place of this heat. So Colleen is certainly not holding back, but she's keeping her stroke nice and long and efficient. She's 2:34.6 winning that heat. 2:34.2 is her entry time, so she is right there on it. Summer Schmidt entered with a 2:46 and she went 2:43, so she's 3 seconds under. And that is Jessica Long, who entered with a 2:50. And again, her time did not come up. What is it with the 3rd place finishers not getting their time off of the wall? 2:58 in 4th place for Mallory Wegeman. She entered at a 3:10, so almost 12 full seconds off of her time.
Of the women's 200 IM.
See, the heat kind of shaped up to be the same as what happened right off the dive. Colleen Young led it the whole way. Jessica Long is certainly always going to challenge her in that 50 butterfly. She is got great abilities in sprint butterfly. But Colleen Young made a bit of a difference in the backstroke and breaststroke, and just put the rest of the heat away in the freestyle. Moving up to heat 5 of 7, Julia Gaffney. I'm saying that wrong. We're in heat 6, John. Heat 6. That is Sarah Vargas Blanco in lane 1. Abby Kershaw from the U.S. in lane 2. Facuda Cannon in 3. Grace Newfer is in lane 4. Mary Jibb is in lane 5. Tass Pagonis is swimming in lane 6. Ahalia Lettenberger in 7. And Haven Shepard is swimming in lane 8. I forgot to turn the page. I apologize to this heat. Grace is out to a strong lead, but I can tell you, you cannot count out Cannon Facuda. She's been coming up in the second half of all of her races and taking over for heat wins. So we'll see what she does. But right now, that's Grace Newfer out in the lead from the U.S. She entered at a 2:30.09. And that is Cannon Facuda in second at the 50 turn, and swimming kind of head-to-head with Mary Jibb from Canada over on the other side of Grace. So there's a good race for second place. So far, it is Grace Newfer winning the fly and separating herself from the heat in the backstroke. Nice long backstroke, good rhythm, good rotation. See those flags there? That is their cue that the wall is coming up for those who are sighted. And then you can see the swimmer getting a tap there. She is a visually impaired athlete. In the VI classifications, it's interesting the way that the playing field is evened out. See, everybody's swimming with goggles on, but if you're in a visually impaired classification, in order to make that fair for everybody, those goggles are blacked out, either with black tape or some kind of black spray paint. And those goggles are checked before the race by an official and after the race by an official. But as you can see here, Grace Newfer from the U.S. is showing her strength in all 4 strokes, going from the breaststroke to the freestyle. She comes out with a fantastic kick. You cannot swim an IM like this without being great at training for it. So I can give Grace and her coaches my compliments for the hard work that's going into a swim like this. She entered with a 246, and she's going to be faster than that. She might be in the high 230s. Her last stroke there, she is 237.22. So outstanding swim for Grace. She's been having outstanding swims this whole meet. See if she gets a look at her time and sees how much faster than her entry time it is. And like I said before, sometimes in an IM you're a little too tired to celebrate. Kenan Fukuda in second at 252.3. In third place in that heat was Tass Pagonis at 257.09. She entered with a 252, so everybody's either just practicing their IM or they know what to do to get a second swim, or some swimmers might be knowing what to do so that they don't have to do a second swim. I doubt that's happening here. Really handled all 4 strokes quite well. Great long kicking finish into the finish. It's a good lesson for everybody. Yeah. See, usually you have to know your swimmer really well because they don't smile a lot after the 200 IM. So you have to see if their eyes are smiling, and it looked like her eyes were smiling a little bit. Going into heat number 7, this is our final heat of the women's 200 IM. From Colombia, Laura Gonzalez Rodriguez. From Mexico, Maria Teles Gomez. In lane 3, America Andrade from Mexico. In lane 4 from U.S., Olivia Chambers. Sylvia Moreno from Mexico in lane 5. Callie Petroska in lane 6. Matilda Figueroa in lane 7. And that is Rebecca Lugo from Mexico in lane number 8. Been saying this a lot. Olivia Chambers out in front of the heat. She's doing great things with her swimming. Swimming under Coach Ben at University of Northern Iowa. The butterfly was outstanding, and her backstroke arm speed there matched with a good fast feet kick has taken her off the screen, which is a great position to be in. I think there'll be a good race in the back of the pack there for during the breaststroke, where we'll see some real lead changes. Olivia Chambers really has one effort level, and that is 10. her dial only goes to 10. It may go to 11, actually. She gets that dolphin motion, good breaststroke kick, pull down, and she is off to the races in the breaststroke. Lane 5, Silvana Moreno from Mexico was second at the 100 turn in a 118.99, split a backstroke 43.6. Olivia Chambers is in the next county in the pool right now. Very hard to catch a swimmer that is going for it that big. Olivia Chambers out in front, finishing up her breaststroke leg of the race. Good long streamline. She gets away from the wall so well, she is past that 5 meter mark before she even takes her first stroke. Great lesson for any younger swimmers watching, just watching Olivia swim. Swims with a little bit of a straight arm recovery freestyle, so you're seeing a lot of splashing, but it's not messy. When she gets her hands underwater into her catch, it's outstanding. You can see her wrist kind of bends down, and then she pulls straight behind her. Pulls herself through the water pretty fast. Great last split of 35.15 for Olivia Chambers, going 227.90. She entered with a 226.1. If we can build up some competition for her for the finals and get her really racing head to head with somebody, I think you're going to see an outstanding swim tonight. Second in that heat from Mexico, America Andrade, 38.63 on her freestyle split. She was 250.61, and she entered the race at a 246, so she's a little off. In third place up in lane 2 was 252.76. That's Maria Gomez from Mexico. You hear the double whistle. That means all the swimmers have finished their race, and they're going to head for the side to get out. That concludes our women's 200-meter individual medley, and we're going to move into the men's 200 individual medley as you take a look at those times. You can see that freestyle split in the middle right column, their place in the heat on that next column to the right, and then their final column there is their time. Great swimming. Olivia Chambers, I wonder if she thinks about, okay, I'm going to go do this alone because I am that much faster than the heat. Not from an arrogant standpoint, but when you're that much faster than the heat, you really have to stay within yourself and race yourself and get to know exactly how all of the 4 strokes are supposed to feel. I see her walking away from the blocks right now with the kind of energy that you would have before a race. So she's doing great things. She's got more great things ahead of her. And that's not pressure, that's just excitement. I hope she's enjoying the ride, having fun. I think you may see her on TV next week as the Team USA is going to be celebrating 100 days out of Paris. And I believe Olivia Chambers might be part of that. So watch the morning shows next week. Heat 105 of our men's 200 IM, Jonathan Gonzalez from Mexico is in lane 1. In lane 2, Marcus Vital from the U.S. Diego Andrade from Mexico is in lane 3. Also from Mexico, Diego Vasquez in lane 4. In lane 5 from Mexico, Miguel Coronado. Gianni Mercado from the U.S. is in lane number 6. In lane 7, Carlos Hernandez from Mexico. And in lane number 8, Carlo Juarez, also from Mexico. There's a big mix of different classifications in this heat. Lanes 1, 2, and 3 are all SM8. So we'll see how they battle their race out. As our early and strong leader in lane 5, Miguel Lopez Coronado from Mexico, hits the wall in a 34.18. Good first split coming out of the backstroke. He looks like he's got a nice, long, strong backstroke. Might be a little bit faster backstroke next to him, but no, I think he's brought his feet into the race. If he can get those feet not flaring apart in his backstroke kick, he could be even more efficient and probably get another second out of that backstroke split. He's got about 8 meters to go in his 50 backstroke. Putting on a little clinic for the rest of the heat. He turns with a 45.2 in the backstroke split. 119.40 is his 100 split. Good underwater pull. See, he's out there past the flags before he starts swimming. To build the ability to swim a symmetrical stroke without a symmetrical body is an incredible thing. So you're really watching something special here. It's Miguel Coronado from Mexico. He's 21 years old. He's swimming in lane 5, and he probably sees that he may feel like he's the only guy in the pool because he's got nobody near him. Really good. Now, critical coach John would try to work with him maybe on getting his head looking down when he presses forward. He'll be even more efficient and probably travel further off of each kick. Freestyle's good. He holds that left arm out in front, and that helps him balance and get to that other hip and keeps him pretty symmetrical in the freestyle as well. He's putting it all together. Got about 20 meters left. That is Miguel Lopez Coronado from Mexico. He entered this race at a 3:09.57. Let's see where he is. Well, he's certainly going to be under 3 minutes. He's going to be in the low 250s. He hits the wall at 252.40, and his last split is 38.5 or 38.35. Outstanding swim for him. Well under his entry time. I'm not sure if that was his best time going in, but is almost 20 seconds between, or 10 seconds between he and second place. Lane 4, his teammate from Mexico, Diego Vasquez. Lane 3 coming in, hitting the wall, that is Diego Andrade from Mexico. He entered at a 3:10, and he went 3:17. So added a little bit. Could be the fatigue of the third day, or this could maybe just be an event he's trying to get some experience swimming in. We've got just 2 guys coming into the wall to finish their IM, both from Mexico. It's Alejandro Hernandez in 7 and Carlo Rodrigo Juarez in lane 8. Carlo's going to get in there ahead of Carlos in a time of 3:50.45. He entered with a no time. Carlos in lane 7 entered with a 3:58 and went 3:52. So outstanding swimming. Again, our fastest times in the morning across the races may not make the final because these swimmers are racing against the world record in order to make the finals. It's a great way they've discovered to even the playing field on who really, I generally don't use the word deserve when I'm talking about sports, but who deserves to make the final. It's not just the fastest swimmer, but it's the swimmer fastest relative to the world record times. That should be what everybody's chasing. So that should be the thing we're rewarding. And this system provides for that. Really good. See, his timing might have been a little bit off on that backstroke turn as he hit the wall and then kind of used his arm as a bit of a shock absorber. Back to breast, he gets that, breast to free, he gets that dolphin kick or 2. Nice long finish. Congratulations to Miguel Coronado from Mexico on that swim. In lane 1 of heat 2, Diego Llamas Rios from Mexico. From the U.S., Sean Grady. Morgan Ray in lane number 3. Charlie G. Michelle in 4. That is Irving Contreras in 5. Zach Shattuck is swimming in lane 6. Lucas Collada in lane 7. And Aiden Williams in lane 8. This is heat 2 of 5 of the men's 200-meter individual medley mixed class. And the classes are SM5 to SM14. Again, the M in that classification means medley, which relates to this being the individual medley. There's all kinds of codes and numbers. If you're looking at the heat sheet, they all make perfect sense, and I'm here to try to explain it to you. I saw something very strange there, a flip turn from butterfly to backstroke. You know, you can do that if you hit the wall with your fingers tips before you turn. I'm not sure if he did, so we'll see how that plays out with the officials. It might be a new method or something he's trying. Lane 5 is in the lead here pretty handily. That's Irving Contreras from Mexico. Then we've got lanes 2 and 7. Probably don't know they're battling, but maybe when they see the turn, they will do that. That's Sean Grady in 2 and Lucas Collada in 7. I don't think they saw each other. They're going into the breaststroke. Breaststroke a lot of times is the big differentiator in the individual medley. I have always coached the individual medley to be more of a physiological race in how you manage your energy and using your upper and lower hemisphere body, which in Paralympic competition. You can see that we have some results coming up, but it's scrolling and we're kind of out of control of that scroll, so I'll stick with the IM here. Irving Contreras is staying in front of this heat with his breaststroke right there at the front right of your, and there's some breaststrokers coming up and catching up to him. Zach Shattuck is that swimmer in lane 6. He's caught. He made up almost 10 meters there. We'll see what happens in the freestyle here, whether it's energy or technique or a combination of the two. Seems to be holding his own out in front of Zach, but that last 25 meters of the 50 freestyle, sometimes either energy or you kind of wake up and say, oh my gosh, I'm in a race, I can go beat this guy. All the way across the pool, good racing happening here. Zach Shattuck is trying to make a move, but over there in lane 2, Sean Grady has made a move. Looks like he's going to finish second behind Irving Contreras. Contreras hits the wall first in a 2:55.5. Up in lane 2, that was Sean Grady, who he didn't come from nowhere, but he surely made a move in that last 25 meters to go 2:56.7. He was 3:02 as an entry time, so a great swim for Sean. Third down in lane number 7 was Lucas Collada. Made a move there at the very end and passed Zach Shattuck, who was in good position for third. Lucas went 2:57.05. Great swimming. I do get pretty excited when we get a race like that. There were 2 or 3 different races, a couple of lead changes behind our front runner. They are getting away from the start. Irving Contreras kind of held the lead. He got a little bit of a challenge in the breaststroke from Zach Shattuck, but he was able to pull away, and a couple of guys came up on Zach in the freestyle, put him from second to fourth, but you can't control what anybody else is doing, and Zach did an outstanding job of what he was doing. So congratulations to all of our swimmers in heat 2 of 5. Heat 3 coming up. These guys are setting up the fin on the block to where they want it. Some backstroke results there. 10:28, you know what that might mean. That is a probably unratified world record. Anytime you get into 4 digits, that means you've probably beaten a world record. Congratulations to Shelby. We'll see all these top 8 swimmers in the big final. Heat 3 of the guys, 200 IM, Austin, I did it again, and I even talked to his mom about messing up his name last night. I'm sorry, Tyler. Tyler Austin in lane number 1. Nestor Ramirez in 2 from Mexico. The next 3 guys from the U.S., Sawyer Mills, David Gelfand, and Noah Bush in lanes 3, 4, and 5. Javier Rodriguez from Puerto Rico in lane 6. Ryan Edelman in 7 from the U.S. and from Canada. Antonio Fricano in lane 8. Very, very even butterfly race here. And their times are not very close to each other, so we're going to see who the butterflyer is, who the backstroker, who the breaststroker, and who that finish freestyler is. Keeping the backstroke pretty even across the pool, especially in the center in lanes 4 and 5. That is David Gelfand in 4 and Noah Bush in 5. Both SM9 swimmers, so this could be for pride. This could be for potentially a spot. when times are looked at and all the classifications and qualifications and how that Paris team gets picked, David Gelfand goes ahead at the breaststroke turn. We'll see if that was just a better turn or if he's bringing a better breaststroke. Looks like their breaststroke is, we got two different styles of breaststroke there, and they're going about the same speed down the pool. David there in front is quite a bit more powerful. He does not have that kick to bring to the breaststroke, so he's got to be strong. He's going to have a little bit faster stroke tempo, so he's going to take a few more strokes per 50 than a swimmer like you see on the right of your screen, who has that kick that he can glide off of. So David's definitely going to put out more energy, and we'll see if that costs him in the freestyle. So we had three guys there, relatively even, depending on what they can do in the freestyle. 15 meters from the wall, that's still David Gelfand, but coming up on him in lane number 3, that is Sawyer Mills. He's going to give him all he can take. Sawyer had that kick ability in the breaststroke, so he has leg energy to go to here in that last freestyle. Looks like David Gelfand, unless Sawyer can outreach him, looks like it's going to be David Gelfand, 35.08. But when you see these, you'll see the splits. He was 35.08 on that last 50. Sawyer Mills was 33.9 on that last 50. But David put all the other strokes together well enough to hold on to the lead and get the heat win at 230.84. 231.1 for Sawyer just behind him. And then Javier Rodriguez from Puerto Rico was third in that heat, 237.40. Outstanding racing by these guys all the way across the pool. And like I told you, after 200 IM, there's not a lot of smiles because there is not a lot of energy for smiles. You see the difference on those 250 splits in lanes 3 and 4. David Gelfand edged him out in the race at 230 to 231, but 35.08 to 33.94 tells a pretty great story of how great Sawyer can close in an IM. So if he can keep himself efficient and get faster in the first 3 legs of the race, he's got an opportunity to surpass one of the veterans. And I can tell you, David Gelfand does not want to be beat, but he would probably honor it if it's one of these young guys coming up. Heat 4 of 5, Max Kubik in lane number 1, Jesse Grieve in 2, Noah Jaffe in 3, Trevor Lukasco in 4, Emmett Martin is swimming in lane 5. Then from Colombia, Nelson Corzo in lane 6. In lane 7, Aiden Stivers. And in lane 8, Raul Gutierrez Bermudez from Mexico. Nelson in lane 6 is from Colombia. I had somebody standing right in front of me and I couldn't see the pool. I've got a monitor, but I still have to figure out what lane is who. In lane number 4, out in the lead there in the backstroke, that is Trevor Lukasco. Trevor's one of those guys that really puts the hammer down for the whole race and always seems to have great energy at the end. So I think he's going to be hard to get caught unless some breaststroker shoots way up next to him in the next 50. But that is Trevor Lukasco out in front. In lane 3, Noah Jaffe is holding his own in the 50 backstroke. That is Trevor Lukasco getting that back to breast flip turn. That has a little bit of an oxygen cost, but it is faster. The standard kind of, you could call it old school these days, old school way of turning would be to just kind of pivot at the wall and get a big breath and then get under for your breaststroke. Trevor Lukasco went for the speed, gave up the oxygen, and he's putting himself even further ahead of this heat by doing things like that. He's only got about 5 meters left in the breaststroke, and he is 10 meters ahead of this heat. Outstanding effort, swim, and result for Trevor Lukasco. He split 42.93 in the breaststroke there at 148.6. The rest of the heat is just getting to the wall to turn. Trevor, I get to watch him train every day at the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Training Center. One of the things that place has to offer is altitude. It's just a pool, but they take advantage of the limited available oxygen at 7,000 feet. He's certainly getting benefit from that, and that adds to his gung-ho swimming abilities. He was first in that heat, 32.7. That was even much faster than the guys that came back fast in the previous heat. 32.7 in his freestyle, or 221.35. That's Trevor Lukasco from the U.S. His U.S. teammates are all finishing behind him. Second was Noah Jaffe in 232.28. And in third place there, also from the United States, Aiden Stivers from lane 7 in 234.72. Our last swimmers coming in here in lane 8, that is Raul Gutierrez Bermudez from Mexico. He entered with a 252. He goes 257, so he's about 5 seconds from his entry time. Again, we can't judge. We don't know what these swimmers are going through as far as their training, their preparation, their health. There's so many factors, so we'll just take the great efforts that they're giving us every morning. See, Trevor, when he came up, I mean, he was just going to win that heat. Sometimes as an athlete, that's a decision you can make behind the blocks. Good luck to all of you that I'm racing. I hope to watch you finish. It sounds a little arrogant, but there's nothing wrong with that if they're just thoughts. Outstanding start, middle, and finish for Trevor Lukasco. Impressive every time he races. Our start list, this is the 5th heat of 5, so this is our final heat of the 200 IM. You're watching the Citi Paris Swimming World Series in Indianapolis. I think the next stop is heading to Madeira. In lane 1 in this heat from Mexico, Juan Gutierrez Bermudez. In lane 2 from the U.S., Owen McNear. In lane 3, Aaron Thomas from the U.S. That's Lawrence Sapp in lane 4. Watch the clinic that Lawrence will give us underwater and how he blasts away from the blocks first. So he's the first one to move, first one in motion, and first one to the 15 meters. Outstanding. You can always count on Lawrence to get himself out fast in front of the heat. The rest of our heat here is next to Lawrence in lane 5 is Jean-Paul Gaufrey-Ram from Mexico. From the U.S., Braxton Wong. I know he's rested for this event, and it's one of his favorites. He's in lane 6. Jesus Alberto Gutierrez Bermudez in lane 7, and Jesus Antonio Zavala Manuel is in lane 8 from Mexico. Out in front still, handling the lead quite well, that is Lawrence Sapp. He's got a good, fast tempo. You can see him really grip the water and push it behind him. That in combination with a pretty small, fast kick, you definitely want to do that so you're not kicking outside of your body's shadow. That is Lawrence Sapp coming into the 100 wall in the backstroke. He's 36.62, 104.61. And we'll see if we have any breaststrokers try to make a move on Lawrence. If you look at the big picture of that heat, it looks like maybe lane number 5, that is Jean-Paul from Mexico. He might be making a little bit of a move, but Lawrence has got a big enough lead from that flying back that if anybody's going to do it, they're going to have to take the entire last 75 meters to catch him. Good turn, out and away, increasing his lead. Those guys are about 5 or 6 meters behind him. I think he's going to hold on to that. Even if somebody comes up and gets a faster freestyle split, I think he's far enough ahead of the heat. But they're not going to be able to challenge him. His competitors have got 25 meters left to go. You can see a little bit of fatigue setting into Lawrence's arms. As when your arms get tired, they shorten up out in front a little bit. But he's done the work where it really doesn't matter. And there he is, first at 35.4. We saw 33.5 and 34.7 out of the guys next to him. So they swam a faster freestyle split, but he had put himself in position that it didn't matter what anybody did behind him in the freestyle. And he goes 2:25.38. Fantastic swim for Lawrence Sapp. It's not real close to his entry time, but again, we don't know where people are in their preparation for getting selected for Paris. As Lawrence Sapp's had a fantastic meet all week. But behind him in lane 2, Godfrey from Mexico and Aaron Thomas from the U.S. was third, 2:28.45. See how Lawrence just gets away from the heat right from the start. So even those guys on either side of him when it came to the freestyle were a second and a half faster. He put that gap on them in the very first lap, widened it in the backstroke, held it in the breaststroke, and they had to chip away to try to get close. So, outstanding swim for him, outstanding effort from the guys trying to chase him down. I would always thank a guy who went that fast in front of me for helping push me to some faster splits. Now, like I mentioned earlier, is the 150-meter IM. SM1 to SM4 classifications do not swim the butterfly in the medley, so they will go backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle. And in heat 1 of 1, in lane 4 from Mexico, Nelly Miranda Herrera. From Canada, Ali Van Wyck Smart in lane 5. It's SM1 to 4. I don't know if that's a typo or if SM14 has the opportunity to swim 150 IM. Again, we're starting from the other side, which we normally have as the turn end of the pool, so that there is a little bit of a break. You'll hear the officials testing the starting equipment. That was the horn in the background there. Swimmers are moving around, rocking, waiting in her chair, trying to keep warm. They'll get a whistle. They get 2 whistles before a start. The first one is to step toward the block and be ready to step up. By that point, you have to have all your equipment ready. Your cap should be on nice and tight. Goggles are ready to go. Swimmers generally fidget with all that stuff right up to the start, but so you're getting a suit adjusted, making sure that's on comfortably for this race. And now we've got Nelly Herrera from Mexico there. Coach is assisting her to the water. And now you'll see the coaches will assist this start. And this is a great example. You have to have that contact, that constant contact with the wall or the starting block. So we've got both of those things happening with an assist from the coach. And you can see the coach leave his hands very steady and outward after the start. He needs to make sure that he is not doing anything to aid that swimmer going forward. And that was an outstanding example of a fair start. So thank you, coaches, team leaders, for getting our athletes ready to go. They start with the backstroke. That's Nelly Herrera from Mexico out in front. She's got 50 meters of her 25 meters of her backstroke completed. Ali is just about to come to the halfway point there in her backstroke. In this classification, butterfly is not a part of the 200 IM, so it is a 150 IM. So they will always start at the 50 end of the pool. Keeping her body in line really well. That is not a gift. That is from practice. That is from training. I'm working with some para-triathletes right now that would be likely in this same classification if they were swimmers. And what we have to do is get a little bit of a different body position so that we can help keep their lower limbs aligned while they swim freestyle in a triathlon. And they are making some outstanding progress. Some of them have already qualified for Paris, and some of them are just weeks away from hearing that they're going to make the team. We're pretty confident. We've got some repeat medals to accomplish with our paratriathlon team, headed up by the unbeatable and try to come up with fun adjectives for Derek Williamson. He's just an outstanding triathlon coach. He's brought me in to help out with the swimming technique, and I am having a ball, having a blast, and loving the challenges of shaping people's freestyle to go through the water faster with all of the challenges presented. See, she keeps her legs in line. That can be difficult to do when you don't have the ability to manipulate where your legs are. So she's swimming with a little bit lower upper body position, and that's going to help. The physics of it is that's going to make the water on the sides of her body help keep her legs aligned as she goes through it. You can see all those waves interrupted along the length of her body. You can see that, you'll see that in the freestyle. See where she disrupts the water finishing her freestyle pull, and she may know she's doing it, she may not know she's doing it, but she's pushing that water against her legs, and that's helping her legs stay aligned. And if she can keep her legs aligned, she's more efficient going through the water. The physics of swimming is a never-ending puzzle. That is Nelly Herrera from Mexico. She's almost my age, which I am not going to reveal that for either one of us. So that's making me even more impressed with this swim. And you see her upper body, she keeps an arm out in front all the time, and that helps her. That helps if you're pressing downward and forward with your upper body, that's going to help keep some lift in your lower body. So she's 3:36.80. A bit off of her entry time, but an outstanding effort, and I really want to thank her for, whether she knows or not, we got to watch her and learn a little bit about freestyle in the different classifications. Right now, Ali Van Wyck Smart from Canada has got about 30 meters to go in her freestyle, and I can say very much the same thing. A lot of times with a full able-bodied freestyler, you're talking a lot about the hips and the core, about rotating that from side to side in a kind of a circular pattern side to side. When we get into lower limb disabled swimmers, they have an ability to also keep themselves in line, and the way that I'm beginning to coach it is, instead of getting the hips to rotate, I'm working a little bit further up the body towards the shoulders and asking them to rotate their rib cage. And this is something that, whether it's coached or not, you can see Ali doing this really well. Her hips are following. You can see that bouncing a little bit, but that's coming from good upper body rotation of her rib cage. Outstanding swim. 5 minutes, 0.48 for Ali Van Wyck Smart from Canada. And we'll see up against world records if since there's just two in that event, we'll see if they swim the final or if they scratch the final. See if we have that final tonight. In the men's 150 meter IM, we also just have one heat. See them getting away from the wall, and an absolutely fantastic start for both of them. Going through the backstroke, keeping their body aligned, that's efficient. The more efficient and balanced you can keep your body in all of the strokes, the more effective it is when you push against the water to pull through the water. So everything's got to work in concert, and everybody's a different puzzle. Yeah, thumbs up for sure. Outstanding swim and a great lesson for us to talk about and learn about. Going to the men's heat 1 of the 150 IM SM 1 to 4. Riley Martin from Canada is in lane 2. In lane 3 from Mexico, Diego Lopez Diaz. That's Miguel Loque from Spain in lane number 4. In lane 5 from Mexico, Marcos Zarate Rodriguez. In lane 6 from Mexico, Christopher Tronco Sanchez. If you're noticing something I'm noticing, and maybe it's something you can help with in the U.S., not seeing a lot of U.S. swimmers in an event like this. Well, we don't have a lot of swimmers in these lower classification numbers finding out about the sport of swimming. If you have an opportunity to, if you've got a cousin, a friend, a mom, a dad, an acquaintance, somebody at your school, man, tell them about what we're watching today. Maybe we can get them involved and get them in the pool here. We'll see a couple of coach-assisted starts. The only assistance they really get is the grip on the wall or on the starting block for the start. Another assistance you see there at the top of your screen. He's biting down on the end of a line, and he's going to pull himself up when they say take your mark, and then he's just going to explode away from the wall. Outstanding start all the way across the pool there. 5 different people doing 5 different things and all going the same speed away from the wall. It's all about just adapting to what you've got. These guys are killing it. Out in the lead in lane number 3 is Diego Lopez Diaz from Mexico. He entered with a 3:31.02. He's got a nice, fast-tempoed arm stroke for his backstroke. Also, the faster you go through the water, the better the resistance is pressing your legs together. So he's going to get some advantage from his speed. So he's kind of doubling up on his advantage there by going fast. It is Diego going from backstroke to breaststroke. Now, he's going to probably start breathing every other stroke. Again, like I talked about before, that's an efficient way to swim breaststroke when you have a lower limb classification. If you can keep your head down and get a couple of strokes, then that keeps your body in line a little bit longer. If you pull yourself up every stroke, you're going to see legs begin to sink. So these guys are pretty smart, and they train pretty hard to go 2 strokes per breath. Have a lead change there. Now up to lane 4. That's Miguel Loque from Spain. And next to him, Marcos Zarate Rodriguez from Mexico in lane 5. So Diego Lopez gave us a little lesson in backstroke, and Miguel and Marcos are giving us a little lesson in the breaststroke. A little bit of higher tempo breaststroke there in lane 2 from Martin Riley from Canada, and that's helping him challenge for second place. Looks like he's taken over second, and if he's got a fast freestyle tempo, he may have an outstanding freestyle leg here. He turns away. He's got a good long stroke out in front. He can find a way to train into a little bit faster tempo. He's going to be pretty dangerous with that freestyle. Lane 4, Miguel Loque has taken over the race. He has traveled from Spain for this meet. His time was 2:48.17 is his entry time. And I'm not sure where that came from. These guys all entered at times anywhere from 2:48 to 3:42 or 3:45. Got just a couple of strokes left there. That is Miguel Loque from Spain, 57 on that 50, and he went 3:10.31 on his 150 IM. And we see some 13-year-olds in this meet, and Miguel is showing us what you can do at 47. Outstanding swim. Second in that heat was Marco Cerrade Rodriguez from Mexico in a 3:28.56. And third from Canada, that's Riley Martin up in lane 2. He made a move there in the breaststroke and got himself in position to get third by holding on strong to his freestyle. He went 3:34.27. Just one swimmer left in the race. That is Christopher Sanchez from Mexico, finishing up there in a 4:04.03. So that is our one and only heat of the men's 150-meter individual medley. And up next is the women's and then men's mixed 100 backstroke. We have 7 heats of women and then 7 heats of men. So we got 14 heats of backstroke, and then that will wrap up our morning session. And we thank you for joining us here in Indianapolis at the Again, there's a little gap as we watch these guys get away in their 150 IM. And you can win the first 50 and not win the race. He won that first 50 by close to 5 meters, and then was a bit behind after that, as Miguel Luque there from Spain took over in the breaststroke and then widened that gap in the freestyle. 47 years old, at it like a champion. Outstanding swim for Miguel Luque from Spain. Heat 1 of 7 of the women's 100-meter backstroke. From Costa Rica, Ariana Cotto. From Greece, Areta Spiridoi. In lane number 3 from the United States, Lila Boykins. Carla Bravo Gonzalez from Mexico in 4. From the U.S., Gabby Schoperth in lane 5. In 6, Eden Schroeder from the United States. And in lane number 8, all the way from Mongolia, No Moon Kurel. Got a chance to meet her yesterday and talk with her and her parents. They are traveling the world in this Citi Paris Swimming World Series and doing an outstanding job. As you can see, there she is out almost in front of this heat. Down there in lane 1. In lane 4, though, our early leader is Carla Francesca Bravo Gonzalez from Mexico. And challenging her in 5 is Gabby Schoberth from the United States. Erin Schroeder also over in lane 7 looks like she may be taking the lead of the heat at the 50. We have a big gap in times entered, so I think we're going to have some great, possibly some really great reactions here after this swim. First at the 50 was Gabby Schoperth. Bravo Gonzalez was second from Mexico, 56.04. At 57.1 was Lila Boykins from the United States. They're holding that straight line across the pool. We'll see who's got the fast tempo going into the end. And if the ability to kick is there, you definitely want to pick up that speed at right about at this point of 100 backstroke. So, and we are seeing that from all 3 of these swimmers, increased foot speed. And when you pick up your foot speed, you can pick up your tempo. Eden Schroeder, though, there in 6 is holding a nice, very strong backstroke, and it's keeping herself in that top 3 or 4. Carla Francesco Bravo Gonzalez from Mexico hits the wall first, though, in a 1:54.43. She was 58.3 on that second 50. Second, Gabby Schoperth from the United States in 1:55.20. Third place, 1:58.53, was Leah Boykins. In 5th, up there in lane 1 at 2:06.03, Ariana Cotto. In lane 7, coming all the way from Mongolia for this meet, Nomun Kurel. She was 158.86 in that 100 backstroke. Eden Schroeder and Areta Spiridoy are still racing their backstroke. In lane 6, that's Eden Schroeder with about 25 to go and about 35 meters to go. You are looking at Aravella Spiridoy from Greece. So we've got swimmers coming here from all over the world for this Citi Paraswimming World Series. Presented here in the U.S. by Toyota, as well as the entire series all around the world. We thank Citi for their sponsorship and support of parasports in general, but for us, paraswimming. This is one of many stops of the Citi Paraswimming World Series around the world. Still yet to go to Singapore and still to go to Portugal in the next few weeks. Finishing strong there, 351.6 was Eden Schroeder. Areti from Greece has got about 10 meters left to swim. She has learned and trained very well to keep her body all up at the surface. Floating your body when you're trying to race is a difficult thing to coordinate, and she is handling it like a champion. She's got about 3 or 4 strokes left to go, and she will reach up there for that wall, and she finishes her swim in 4:33.55. Congratulations to all of our 100 backstrokers in heat number 2. And heat number 3 is next, where we will be welcoming a full pool. All 8 lanes will be swimming in this heat. Athletes are making their way out to the blocks as we recap that second heat. Kind of finished as it started once those 3 or 4 swimmers started to separate in the last 25 to 15 meters of the race. Getting away from the wall as fast as you can. Everybody does not have that ability to kick away from the wall fast, and usually to make up for that you'll find a little bit faster tempo. Great efforts, great swims, and great times. And in order to make it into the finals, hopefully great points. In heat 2 of 7 from Canada in lane 1, Miriam Soliman. Kiara Bauer in lane 2 from the U.S. Tessa Nagy, also from the U.S. in lane 3. Diana Torres Claudio from Mexico in lane number 4. Sarah Miranda Corrales in lane number 5. Sumbul Zufar from Canada in lane 6. Amanda Sheward from the United States in lane 7, and in lane 8, Diana Laura Jimenez Martinez. This is heat 2 of 7 of the women's 100-meter backstroke. Got some swimmers there that wanted to get right up swimming, and some of them that wanted to get that advantage underwater. Taking advantage of her underwater there in lane 4, that is Diana Maria Torres Claudio from Mexico. Diana's been having a fantastic swim meet here. She's probably done a little bit of resting before this meet because she has that speed right out in front of her races, and she's been able to finish them quite well. She's been able to finish her races quite well throughout the weekend. She's got just 5 meters to go to the 50 in this 100-meter backstroke, and she hits the wall first at 44.43. So based on her entry time, she should be a little bit faster, but she's going to have to keep up that fast tempo all the way down the pool. In backstroke, I'll tell you, after being a backstroker in my youth, Swimming long course backstroke, it seems like somebody is moving the wall while you're swimming. It is so far to go before you see those flags, especially in a 200 backstroke. It seems like the pool gets a little bit longer each 50. This just being 100, these women are holding their own, good fast tempo. You see that. A great backstroker will have very steady head position. You see that on the left of your screen, and is in, by no mistake, she is in first and finishes first in 1:33.7, 3 seconds faster than her entry time. Just behind her in lanes 3 and 4 was Sarah Miranda Corrales and Sembel Zafar. Sarah from Costa Rica and Sembel from Canada. They were 1:38.61, a little bit off, and 1:39.79. Sembel swims faster than her entry time. We've got all 8 of our swimmers into the wall now. Amanda Sheward there.
All right. Let's welcome to the number 3 of the women's 100-meter backstroke.
And look at those times. Seeing Amanda get away from the wall really well. She went underwater not quite as far as some of the other swimmers, but she got out there faster than they did. The only person further in faster than Amanda off of that start was Diana Torres Claudio, who ended up winning the heat and beating them all by a couple of seconds. So there are all kinds of different areas to work on to be a great backstroker. If you're working on the swim and you've got the start, you can put yourself out in front and make everybody else earn it to try to pass you. That's just what Amanda did. It was a great backstroke start for her. And we're missing a few swimmers in this one. Vivian Wandage from the United States in lane 1. In lane 2, I don't see a swimmer. So, oh, there she was. She just wasn't quite ready to step up. Vianney Trejo Delgadito. Elise Morley from the U.S. in lane 3. In 4, Britt Conrad. In 5, Julie Hickson. Maya Dillingham in 6. Megan Giaffreda in 7. And Maggie Scherder in lane number 8. It's 100 meters backstroke. S2 and S6 to S14. So the S2 swimmers swim in the 100, as do the S6 to S14s in this meet. International, well, I guess it's World Para Swimming now. I have to get with the program since they changed their name 2 years ago. Come on, John. World Para Swimming has got the daunting task of coming up with what events are contested at the Paralympic Games each 4 years. That's a very tough call sometimes, but they want to use events in the games that have the most swimmers swimming in them in the years leading up. So sometimes you could be a great 50 breaststroker, but if there aren't enough people swimming the 50 breaststroke throughout the years in your classification, that event might not be contested. So what we really want to avoid is having 2 or 3 or 4 people in the world swimming the race for about 4 years, and there are 3 medals, and you don't want to just have 4 people in a race. That's kind of an extreme example, but hopefully it illustrates the decisions that get made. And sometimes those decisions are heartbreaking if one of your events in your classification doesn't get contested, but it really is kind of a bigger picture thing. If that's your situation, then help us and recruit more swimmers into para swimming. This is a great race all the way from start to finish between Britt Conrad and Elise Morley, and Britt Conrad comes up with the win by just about 1/10 of a second, 1:30.27 to 1:30.33. Third place in that heat was Julia Hickson at a 1:32.30, but just behind her was Maya Dillingham at 1:32.57. Great swim all across the pool as I babbled on a lot about a bigger picture thing that our athletes have to navigate. But that's one of those rules it's one of those procedures that's tough, but it's so fair because we really want to have as many swimmers as possible up for those medals. Wow, what an even 50 turn. And then very little separation there, 130 to 132 in our top 4 swimmers. Great swims for both of them. Elise and Britt really had an outstanding race there. Next up, heat 4 of 7 from the U.S. in lane number 1. That's Haven Shepard. Allie Deal from Canada in lane 2. Abby Kershaw in lane 3 from the U.S. Mexico's Rebecca Lugo in lane 4. USA Momo Sutton, that is in lane 5. Swimmer from Peru, Michaela Apestigui. I don't know why I'm struggling with your name, Michaela, and I really apologize for it. It's really not that hard to say. Valentina Moreno in lane 7 from Chile, and Ahalia Lettenberger in lane 8 from the United States. With a last name like Deslier that I have and love and am proud of, not everybody knows how to say it when they read it the first couple of times. So I feel your pain, and I'm doing my best. Got somebody very deep in their dolphin kick, and you see that depth that she took there in the middle of the pool really cost her, because it's not that fast to go really deep, because you travel a lot further. You have to go if you're going a meter deeper than everybody else, then you actually have to travel 2 meters further than they do, because you have to go a meter down and then come a meter back up. So hopefully that was just an oops in this race, but she's putting herself back in the heat. Lane 5 is leading this. That is Momo Sutton from the United States. She's got a pretty handily lead. That is not how you say that. Coach John's getting tired. He's starting to talk to himself. Momo Sutton is having a fantastic swim here in lane 5 in the 100 backstroke. She swims in the S9 classification for the United States. She is entered at a 127.89. We'll see what she's got here. Yeah, she throws that left arm for balance, and then she gets a little push off of it. Outstanding, using everything she has. She's got 5 meters to go. She entered with a 127.89. She's going to be under that. I'm going to guess 125 low, and she is in at 125.29. 44.8 on the second 50. So our splits were pretty close to each other for a 100 backstroke. Outstanding swim from Momo Sutton from the U.S., 125.29. Second place up in lane 1 was Haven Shepard with a 128.90, and then a tie for third. Don't see a lot of ties in swimming, but there is one at 129.01 from Michaela Apestigui and Abby Kershaw from the United States. Soaking in those results. Really great swimming happening today. This is our 5th session, day 3 of the Citi Paris Swimming World Series. This is the stop in Indianapolis, Indiana. Good turn, good tap there on her turn in lane 4. She does like to go deep there, and maybe coaches are watching, or maybe coaches are preaching. You know, she's going to be a little faster, a little closer to the surface. Unsolicited coaching from Coach John. Jessica Long heads up lane 1 of heat 5. Jessica from the United States. Mexico's America Makeda Andrade in lane 2. In lane 3, Piper Sadowski. In lane 4, that's Grace Newfer from the U.S. Alexandra Truitt from the United States is in lane number 5. In 6, Audrey Kim, also from the U.S. And their teammate May White from the U.S. is in lane 7. Laura Carolina Gonzalez Rodriguez is swimming in lane 8 from Colombia. Grace, there's not a race Grace hasn't graced us with this weekend. She is just swimming outstanding against these heats. Great body position. Her chest, hips, and toes are all up at the surface, and that's a basic thing to try to coach in new backstrokers. Keep your shoulders and chest, your hips, and your toes near the surface. Some backstrokers will have a little bit lower hips, and those would be those backstrokers that have a little bit faster tempo. And you can see that in lane 5 with Alexandra Truitt from the U.S. She's taken over the lead there. She's in 5, and she's the opposite of what I just talked about, is her hips are a little bit deeper, her shoulders are higher, and that allows her to swim with a little bit faster tempo. And that is definitely working to her advantage. It's all about tempo in backstroke. In the 200, you want to lay back and maybe have your hips a little higher, but in the 50 and the 100, she is giving us a clinic. That's Alexandra Truitt. She entered with a 1:13.11 and finishes with a 1:11.27, so 2 seconds faster in that. Grace finishes second just behind her with Audrey Kim in third at 1:16.25. Grace entered with a 1:12 and goes 1:14. Fourth in that heat was Piper Sadowski, 1:18.27. Fifth down in lane 7, Mae White, 1:26.17. Sixth at a 1:26, America Andrade. Seventh at 1:29.02, that's Laura Rodriguez from Mexico. Jessica Long's pad did not fire, but I know we got a time for her. Long, streamlined, very fast. Gets up to the surface, racing fast. Really handled that. It's a turnover. Wow, what a finish. What a swim. Great job for Alexandra Truitt and Grace Snoofer. Actually, all the way across the pool. Audrey Kim killed it. Piper Sadowski. Everybody in that last heat was fantastic. In heat 6 of 7, Paola Ruvalcaba Nunez from Mexico is in lane 1. Maria Franciscati is swimming in lane 2 from the U.S. Also from the U.S., Lizzie Smith in lane 3. Hannah Aspen, backstroker extraordinaire from the United States in lane 4. Taylor Winnett also. Now, I used to brag about her breaststroke, and she makes fun of me all the time because she's not a breaststroker. That's Taylor Winnett in lane number 5 from the U.S. Mary Jibb from Canada in lane 6. Anastasia Pogonis in lane number 7. And Casey Freeman from the United States as well in lane 8. This is a heat full of medalists from the Paralympic Games, but in various events. But your backstroker in this heat is in lane 4, and that's Hannah Aspen. Very good underwater the whole heat. Lane 3 is fantastic underwater. That is Lizzie Smith, and that is one of the weapons she brings to backstroke and butterfly, is getting herself out in front of the heat from that underwater dolphin kick. She's just a master at it. She certainly trains it, practices it. If you're going to beat Lizzie, you're not going to beat her from the wall. That is for sure. Moving up on her now is Hannah in lane number 4. We'll see how they bode coming out of this turn. Lizzie had a little pause, so her timing was a little off going into that turn, but she put herself right back up to Hannah in her underwater. Hannah, though, backstroke, world record gold medalist, excuse me, multiple times. Great collegiate swimmer. You see, Hannah is picking up the power of that kick she does, and that helps balance out her upper body so she can keep her tempo nice and fast and strong and keep her body aligned. She's got 1 stroke left. She comes in at 1:12.5. Good swims all the way across. Lizzie Smith just behind her at 1:14.27. In third in that heat, Taylor Winnett. 1:15.85. Taylor, I will see you back in Colorado Springs, and you can figure out a new thing to pick on me for. It's always fun talking to you after practice. There's your results from heat number 6. We have just 1 heat left. Taking a look at the start there, watch Lizzie Smith. She gets out fast, and see how she puts herself in front of the heat. Outstanding start for Lizzie Smith. Hannah Aspen, though, once we're all at the surface, we know who's going to take the lead, and she does just that. Outstanding swim at a 112. Entered with a 110, but Hannah Aspen, when she goes the best time, it's a world record, so we're going to cut her a little slack in the prelims on Saturday, day 3 of the meet. Liberty Freedom in our last of 7 heats is in lane 1 from the U.S. Keegan Knott, who's just had a lights-out swim meet so far, is in lane 2. Colleen Young, who will always put herself in the race and many times dominate it. But Gia Pergolini, who is just gamey and can't wait to race. On top of that, Olivia Chambers, who has kind of done no wrong at this meet. This is going to be a heck of a heat just as far as the effort. Chloe Cederholm in lane number 6. Shelby Newkirk in 7. Matilda Estefania Alcazar Figueroa is in lane 8. So this is a heat full of racers. A couple of them have backstroke as a specialty. Like I said, Gia Pergolini, when that horn goes off, you better be ready to race her because she does not hold back. Had a funny conversation with her last night. I'll share part of it. I just complimented her on how aggressive she is in her races, because a lot of swimmers will be a little shy in a race, in an international meet. Not Gia Pergolini, and she's showing that right there. Really good underwater dolphin kick. See the rest of the heat come in at the 50 for their turns. Pretty clear first and second. It's a battle there for third place in lanes 3 and 6. That's Colleen Young in 3 and Chloe Cederholm. That is a veteran versus rookie going in for third place. But Gia Pergolini did not give anybody a chance in this race. Outstanding result for her. She gets in first at 106.1. And that is a half a second faster than her entry time of 106.62. Second in that heat, Olivia Chambers, 35.5 on her last split. She says she swam a 109.02. Colleen Young third, so she edged out, the veteran edged out the rookie. Colleen Young was 114.78, and Chloe Cederholm hitting the wall in 118.18, just behind her. Great seeing the young ones push the veterans. They will be taking over someday, but not until the veterans decide, at least in their minds. That was the women's 100-meter backstroke multi-class, and the classifications in there were S2 and then S6 through S14. That concludes the women's 100 backstroke. Next up, we have the men's 100-meter backstroke, same S1 and S2, as well as S6 to S14 are contested in this next event. Remember, tonight, this will be our finals session. It starts at 5 o'clock here in Indianapolis. That is U.S. Eastern time zone, for those of you outside of the time zone we're in. We're getting an incredible break today. It's a little bit brighter here in the Aquatic Center. Just an outstanding finish. The whole race, start to finish, Gia Pergolini swimming pretty unbeatable this morning. Always a good feeling. Sometimes that brings some pressure, but I think that just gets her a little more excited for the next. Like I was saying, Indianapolis this morning, the sunshine is showing itself, so I'm sure everybody that's here in the indoor pool, as soon as they finish up their last event and walk outside, they're going to have a nice sunshine to smile at. Heat 1 of 7 of the men's 100-meter backstroke. There is a little built-in break right now. It's about 5 minutes, and your guess is as good as mine why we're taking a little break. Many times we have a commercial during this break, but I will just ad-lib the ads. Toyota, we'll just talk through this 5 minutes. I mean, I've done it for about 14 hours. What's 5 minutes? talking about our sponsors, I mean, I will give them a little ad lib ab. Toyota is such a great sponsor of U.S. Paralympic swimming, U.S. Paralympics in general, and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. They are a great sponsor. Been with the company for quite a while now, and hopefully they're going to be here for quite a while. They're taking care of not only great sponsorships to the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, but Toyota did a groundbreaking thing going into the Beijing and Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games, especially for the Paralympians. If you qualified for those games as a Paralympian, you received, I believe it was a $3,000 stipend from Toyota directly to the athlete to help with their expenses in their quest for medals and quest for participation in the Paralympic Games in Tokyo and in Beijing. So big thanks out to Toyota. Citi, though, to be a title sponsor of any series, that is a big undertaking and a great commitment to the success of Paralympic swimming. And we thank Citi for being the title sponsor of the entire series. The Citi Para Swimming World Series has yet to go, I believe, to Singapore and to Madeira, Portugal. I've been to Singapore, and I can tell you they are going to take care of you. You're going to swim in an outstanding facility just like this one in Indianapolis, as well as you're going to have first-class meet host. I know some of the folks over there in Singapore, and they are just fantastic at receiving and taking care of visitors. I was a part of the 2008 U.S. Olympic coaching staff in Beijing, and our staging camp was in Singapore. So we were there for about 10 days adjusting to the time zone was near Beijing, but Singapore is not that close. And the great hosts we had, I could say that May and Joseph Schooling at the time, R.I.P. Joe, they hosted us at the Singapore Island Country Club, and we had a 50-meter pool at our disposal as the U.S. Olympic team. Enough about that. You are staring at World Para Swimming and Citi Para Swimming World Series in Indianapolis backstroke flag. That backstroke flag is not here to be decorative, even though it is a bit decorative with that series logo. Those backstroke flags are exactly 5 meters away from the wall. So calling it a backstroke flag, I think you can make the intellectual leap that when your eyes pass under that, if you're not a VI athlete that's going to have a tapper to tell you where the wall is, and you're able to see those flags as you pass under those in backstroke, then you have a stroke count that you have worked out in all of your endless years of training. In meters, I was a backstroker, and my stroke count was somewhere between 5 and 6, so it was a little scary for meters. In the United States, we swim almost all of our scholastic swimming in a short course yards pool, and those backstroke flags for a yards pool are 5 yards from the wall. So you always had to pay attention right about this year when you're transitioning from short course yard swimming to long course meter swimming. The backstrokers, there's a lot of bumps on the heads actually in the fall when they go from meters to yards, because there's about one more stroke. It's about a half a meter or so, maybe a little bit less measurement difference, but it's an enormous difference when you're training so much in those pools. Swimmers that train in a short course yards pool, if their coach and their facility is really there for them, even though it's a short course yards, during the long course meters season, they really should move those flags out to the 5 meter mark so the backstrokers can be used to that distance. That's really just the only place we have that concern is here in the U.S., because we swim with short course yards pools in our fall and spring collegiate and scholastic seasons, and then we get into our international swimming in the summer, where we swim in the pools just like this one, measures 50 meters long. We just have a minute or so before we restart the Citi Para Swimming World Series. This is the only U.S. stop, and it is an annual. We're always happy to host. And I'll tell you, it looks like it's just being pulled off flawlessly, but there are about 10 or 15 people here from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. They all work on the Paralympic side of the house. They've been here all week preparing this venue and preparing this event. And from the looks of their faces this morning, I can tell you it is very tiring work. So now we can look at some of the results from this morning, looking at the points and how they'll shape up for the finish or for the finals tonight. That's the men's 50 backstroke. Diego Lopez Diaz from Mexico scored 821 points. And you can see right down the line there, Alberto, Trevor, Hector, Abbas, Sawyer, Isaias, and Christopher round out that top 8 of the points scoring. And those points again are the difference between their time and the world record time. There's an equation, and there's a name for that equation that I just don't remember, that our administrative officials do all the calculations, and they come up with this great list that brings us our finalists. In the 200 individual medley, like I talked about this earlier, and Mallory, in her classification, she doesn't swim the fastest time, but here's the beauty of swimming the way she swam. She has the most points, and she is the top qualifier for this evening's finals. Olivia Chambers is second with 940 points. When you're up in the 900s, you are getting in the neighborhood of a world record. So big things happening this summer. Jessica Long in there, Summer Schmidt, Julia Gaffney, Holly Lettenberger, Colleen Young, and Natalie Sims round out your top 8 for the women's 200 IM. Now we're on to the men's 100-meter backstroke in lane 3. That's Jonathan Antonio Martinez Sanchez from Nicaragua. In lane 4, Miguel Angel Navarro Riofrio from Spain. And in lane number 5, Carlo Rodriguez Ibarra Juarez. So it looks like Miguel is making his way to his lane, and his coach is waiting there for him. He's going to help him get his hands to the wall or his feet. Looks like I'm not going to predict, we're just going to watch. So he's going to hold him in position, and then you're going to watch his hands just let go on each side. And Miguel is off and kicking in this 100-meter backstroke. So you're seeing a couple of different things happening here. We've got swimmers on the outside lanes there that look like they have full upper body abilities. And then in the center of the pool is Miguel Riofrio from Spain, who is going to make his way down and back on the pool with his leg power. Coming into the wall in lane 3, that is Jonathan Sanchez from Nicaragua. He's been having a really good swim meet. He's out in 40.67. He's entered with a no time, so we don't have a means of comparison on this one. I'm not running out of words. I'm just watching him swim. He's got a good, fast, small feet kick. Now, in this backstroke, if he can raise his hips up a little bit, he'll be going faster through the water. Because when you kind of sit in the water in that position that he's in, there's a lot of resistance. He's pushing really hard to get through the water, but his back is kind of resisting. So if he could get those hips up, if he has the ability to get those hips up, he's 128. He could probably have the ability to go 124 or 126, I would guess. Just with a little position change. It's not a little thing to do when you're a swimmer at this level to make changes like that. So here we have at the 50 wall, Miguel is making his turn. You can see he has got an incredible technique to keep him going through the water. Keeping arms and hands nice up and tight on top of his chest so they don't flare out and cause resistance. He's keeping his head position incredibly steady. And every motion, based on that, every motion of his legs are pressing him forward. Each one of those different color changes on the lane lines is, I believe they're 1 meter long. So you can see him go through those meters. That yellow mark on the lane line is 15 meters away from the wall he just pushed off of. The next color change you'll see on the lane lines will be a kind of a black dotted line across the center of the pool, which is 25 meters. It's just spectacular to watch all the adaptations that are being made in the sport of swimming in order to get from wall to wall. As a coach, it's an incredible challenge as each swimmer brings you a different puzzle physically. On the able-bodied side, they bring you a different puzzle mentally. I prefer the physically. I should be careful what I say. There's that next yellow marker, which means he's 15 meters away from the finish wall. He did not enter with a time. He's traveled all the way here from Spain, likely to get an international classification. There were classifiers here from all over the world. There are classification panels where you sit in kind of like a doctor's office type of room, and they check your flexibility, check your strength, talk to you about your abilities, and they look at medical records. So that's part of a decision. And then there's the wet part where they come out in the pool and they ask you to perform the different strokes that you're going to race, and they see if the data that they collected matches up to the abilities they see, and they came up with the classification that you're in. Miguel is in the S1. That is the lowest number, and as far as the disabilities across the spectrum of S1 to S14, that is the highest level of disability, and that is his classification. He's 428 in his 100 backstroke, came all the way from Spain, and I hope it's been a great trip for him. We may see him in a final if he is close enough to a world record in that event, in that classification. Great swim for Jonathan Sanchez. He's been having a good swim meet, and I hope he doesn't think I was being critical. I only talk about technique, things that can improve, so hopefully he knows I'm on his team. But that was a great swim for him, with room to get even faster. Heat 2 of 7 in lane number 1, Jonathan Hernandez Gonzalez from Mexico. Also from Mexico, Carlos Roca Hernandez. In lane 3, John Trowick from the U.S. From Chile, in lanes 4 and 5, Alberto Albarza Diaz and Patricio Lorenza Albe. In lane 6 from Mexico, Jesus Lopez Cervantes. In lane 7 from Brazil, that's Alan Kleber Basilio and Jesus Zavala Manuel from Mexico in lane number 8. This is heat 2 of 7 of the men's 100-meter backstroke. Got some outside smokers in this heat. As a swimming turn, there's nobody smoking in the pool. When those outside swimmers take off, we call it an outside smoker. They're just smoking their way down the pool. And in Lane 1. I'm actually just watching. It's a little bit far away from that turn. I don't know that that's going to be any kind of a rule infraction, just maybe miscounted and had to turn his way in there, or had to kick his way in the rest of the way. But he is well ahead. He's out there in lane 8. That is Jesus Antonio Zavala Manuel from Mexico. Entered with a no time. These guys are turning pretty even here. Very similar strokes. Look at that. It's almost a mirror there between those two lanes. So it's really going to go down to who's got either the better training or the faster tempo, or a combination of those two things. That was an easily won heat with certainly a lot of effort. I don't want to downplay his effort. 120.90 for Jesus Manuel from Mexico down in lane 8. In lane 1 there, that is Jonathan Hernandez Gonzalez, also from Mexico. So we got a Mexico 1-2 sweep so far. Jesus was 120.90 down in lane 8, and up in lane 1 in second place he was 138.65. Lane 2, 4 and 5 are now coming into the race. That 4 and 5 race is getting it done there in lane number 4. That's Alberto Diaz from Chile, and his teammate also from Chile, Patricio Albaye. Third in that heat was Carlos Hernandez from Mexico. He swam a 2:05.71. And we'll hear the whistle here. That's the completion of heat number 2. So you get that whistle, and those guys are going to head out, and here is their start. Really pressed himself out in front there. Little did he know what was happening in the outside lanes, but he certainly put a great effort down out of lane 2. Heat 3 of 7 is coming up as that last heat is finishing getting out of the water. Alex Cooper is in lane number 1 from the U.S. Jan Babayuski in lane number 2. Leo Zhang from Canada is in lane 3. Leo's been having a fantastic swim meet. Diego Mañana Vasquez in lane 4 from Mexico. Tyler Austin from the United States in lane number 5. Rodrigo Wu from Peru in lane number 6, Marcus Vital from the U.S., and Noah Thomas from the U.S. in lane number 8. This is the Citi Paraswimming World Series, the U.S. stop. We are now swimming heat 3 of 7. Couple of races pretty evenly shaping up across the pool. Don't want to call an early leader. A lot's going to change here the rest of the way. You can see the heat kind of separating itself. Swimmer in lane 5 hitting the wall first. That's Tyler Austin from the United States. He's 41.55. Just behind him, Leo Zhang, as I was talking about, is having a really great swim meet, at least from my perspective. He was 44 in that first 50. He's wearing the green cap there in lane 3. But our leader, Tyler Austin from the U.S., out there in lane number 5. Good finish there. That is Tyler Austin from the U.S. Didn't get a time on the board, but we'll eventually see that in the final results. He definitely hit the wall pretty well. So the places are incorrect because Tyler's time didn't come up. But second there from Canada, Leo Zhang, 132.67. And third, Diego Vasquez from Mexico. He was 135.18. That heat took it out pretty evenly across, with a few exceptions. Tyler Austin then took the lead and really didn't give it up. See, Tyler's got that. What I talked about before is that really good body position of shoulders, hips, and toes all at the surface the whole way. You can see he hit the wall just fine, so it's probably just a glitch in the timing system. They'll get his time after, and it'll be official, and it'll be correct. Moving on to heat number 4 of 7 from Mexico, Hector Pedroza Alvarado in lane 1. From Canada, Charlie Giamichel in lane 2. From the U.S., Lucas Collada in lane 4 from the U.S., Sean Grady. Max Kubik from the United States in lane 5. In lane number 6, Gianni Mercado. In lane 6, Cyrus Kia. And Isaac Barton is in lane 8. Mexico and Canada in lanes 1 and 2. With Hector and Charlie, and the rest of that heat is from the U.S. These U.S. swimmers are representing clubs from all over the country, but when you're at an international meet, you represent the United States or your home country. So that's such a great opportunity for the younger swimmers coming up, and good for our veterans to reinforce where they represent. Lanes 1, 4, and 5 are in contention here for the first 50. That's Hector Alvarado in lane 1. Sean Grady and Max Kubik in lanes 4 and 5 battling it out. It looks like Sean Grady has taken the lead at the 50 at 38.86. Just behind him, Lucas Collada had a really good last couple of meters into that wall. Third, don't count out Isaac Barton in lane 8. He's over there. I did not see him on my screen, but you can see his kick. You can see the bubbles from his kick there. He's pushing himself, looks like up into second place right now. Sean Grady in 4 is holding on for the lead, but it looks like the race for second is between Lucas Collada and Isaac Barton. Right now it's Lucas over in lane 3. And Isaac is probably going to hold on for third place unless we get a little higher tempo there. Yep. And it plays out that way. Sean Grady is 120.04. Second place, Lucas Collada, 122.50. And Isaac Barton in lane number 8 at 123.54. Good battle all the way across the pool. Sometimes these backstrokers don't know they're in the battle that they're in. They're just doing their job trying to go fast. But we certainly like to call the races like they know what's going on too. You can see that battle is all the way across the pool early in the race, that first 25 meters. even though there's some people a little bit behind, they still have a great chance there. After the 50 turn, though, you can see how Sean took it over. Good swimming start to finish from the whole heat. Heat 5 of 7. We just have 3 heats left here. This is Heat 5. Ryan Edelman is from the United States, is in lane 1. From Canada, Hunter Hellberg in lane 2. In lane 3 for the U.S., Matthew Torres. Evan Wilkerson in 3 and Braxton Wong in, Evan Wilkerson in 4 and Braxton Wong in 5. Javier Rodriguez in 6 from Peru. Aiden Stivers from the United States in 7. And in lane number 8, Raul Gutierrez Bermudez. This is Heat 5 of 7 of the preliminaries at the Citi Paraswimming World Series in Indianapolis, Indiana. Great facility, great hosts. Being run here, our hosts have basically opened the doors to whatever we need, but our staff from U.S. Paralympics has been here all week readying this facility for the athletes and working with our classifiers, getting them where they need to be, when they need to be there, and getting them back to the airport, to wherever they're going in the world. See who's somebody who's probably going far in the world, and that is our swimmer in lane 4, just dominating that first 50. That is Evan Wilkerson from the United States, 32.17 in the first 50. Nobody's going to challenge him in this heat. But remember, everybody in these races are racing not just against each other, but racing against the world record point score of 1,000. Break a record, you get 1,000 points. You can get more than 1,000 if you blow it away. I think we may have seen that happen this morning. Evan's coming in. You see he's a visually impaired athlete. His coach or helper will tap him right before the finish. And what a great swim at 105.30, 33 coming back. So he's like 31 high, 33 coming back. Great swim for Evan Wilkerson from the United States. Just behind him, Braxton Wong. Braxton entered at a 109 and finished at a 110 there. Evan was entered at a 106, went 105.3. Third in that heat was down in lane number 7, Aiden Stivers from the United States at 113.80. We'll see Evan from the start really took the race. Here's our next heat, which is heat number 6. These guys are making their way out to the blocks. Can't say thank you enough times or be sincere enough to our officials, our timers, all of our volunteers throughout the week, not just the weekend during the swim meet. You can see Evan there in lane 4 gets right up with that fast tempo of his. Fast kick the whole way. You can see that splash coming off of his feet. Very fast feet kick. He swims with he's got a very long torso, so he's going to swim with a little bit lower level of hips so that his shoulders can be up and he can get that fast tempo. This is heat 6 coming up. In lane 1, Antonio Fracano from Canada, Irving Lucas Contreras from Mexico, next 2 swimmers from the U.S., Carson Bruner and Yassine El Demirdash. Always watch Yassine take off fast. He's in lane 4. From Colombia, Daniel Correa in lane 5. In lane 6, that's Trevor Bell from the United States. Also from the United States, that's Walker Keithley and Jesus Alberto Gutierrez Bermudez from Mexico in lane number 8. Well out in front there in lane number 4, that is Yassine El Demirdash, Kansas City guy. Swimming great. Good underwater. Keeps everything aligned. Staying well out in front of the heat. He's not going to get challenged by this heat, but there's a good race there for second in lanes 3 and 5. That is Carson Bruner and Daniel Correa. as well as Trevor Bell. Sorry, Trevor, I left you out of that race, and there you are putting yourself right in it. Likely going to be Carson behind Yassine, the way he's got his finish time there, and it was Carson behind Yassine. Yassine was 1:06.58. Carson Bruner behind him at 1:11.53. Daniel Correa from Colombia in 1:11.76. And that wraps up our 6th of 7 heats. We've just got 1 heat left in this race. Starting to wrap up our prelims. We've got just 1 heat here left, but watch this. That tapper is about as long as I've seen one. And that thing is way out there almost by the backstroke flags. I think the rule is 5 meters, so they can put that thing out as far as the backstroke flags if they can control it. Yassine El Demirdash there coming in for a great finish. Our final heat of the morning, heat 7 of 7 of the men's 100 meter backstroke, S2 to S6 through 14 here at the Paris Swimming World Series. In lane 1 from Mexico, Nestor Hernandez Ramirez. In lane 2 also from Mexico, Octavio Ramirez Velasquez. Jack O'Neill from the University of Wyoming in representing the U.S. in lane 3. Lawrence Sapp in lane 4. Owen McNear in 5. Jesse Grieve in 6. Jamal Hill in 7. And Nathan Alvaro from Costa Rica in lane 8. If I don't say the country, it's probably because they're from the U.S. Looks like Jamal is ghosting us in these 100 backstroke. So he is not competing in this race. Out in front, right away, no surprise, Lawrence Sapp. The man knows how to get away from the wall. Outstanding. But he'll be challenged here when we get closer to the end. I think some of these guys will catch up a bit. He will probably hold on to the lead throughout. He's entered at a 1:03.11. And Lawrence is in the wall, 31.4. Just behind him, Owen McNear at 32.5. And third at the wall at 35.5 was Jack O'Neill. First and second are wrapped up here between Lawrence and Owen. And then it looks like there's a battle in 2, 3, and 6 for third place. Lawrence Sapp, that's about the most he's been challenged in some of these races, and that's winning by a full body length. So he's got a good set of problems in that event. 34.4 in his second 50. He was 1:05.88. That's Lawrence Sapp in lane 4. Just behind him, Owen McNear from the U.S. as well. He was second in a 1:07.74. Jack O'Neill made that final push with his tempo and got himself up to third place, 1:12.74. A couple guys challenging him. One of them was Velasquez from Mexico, and his teammate Jesse Grieve from the United States went 1:14.7. So he made about a 2-second jump on the guys that he was pretty even with coming out of that 50 turn. See those final times coming up. Again, you're watching the Citi Paris Swimming World Series in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is the U.S. stop on the tour. I think there are still stops in Singapore and in Portugal before it wraps up and everybody turns their full focus towards Paris 2024 later on this year. I believe that's in September. I want to thank you for coming. We will see you again, I hope, at 5 p.m. Eastern time here at the Natatorium. You see a little recap of what we watched this morning. Outstanding efforts throughout. This is John DeSleer. I'm signing off as you watch this recap. We'll see you at 5.
Thank you, officials, very much. We had a wonderful
I know exactly where it cuts off. I'm just having to manually add them. So I'll keep pulling away. Let me know, and then I can do it tonight or however long it takes. So, yep.
How long before I come back to this?
So Van Gogh, you have coded as advisor.
I just take it. That way, I come over, it's like, hey, when would you like to play this? Well, I've seen the horses get up more than once. I'm not helping you guys with it, but
Yeah, but and then that is like for example,
it's all right. Paperwork, that's cleaned up. That's paperwork.
starting something at 1 minute.
Yeah. That is one of the well that what's the place and she did sort of that wasn't so she was doing so well.
Backstroke. Flip. say.